nail queens, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is not something I planned to do, but today's video is going to be a process video of how I was able to paint a rendition of Van Gogh's Starry Night painting on one of my nails. So I actually practiced it before I did it on my own nails here, and they're on these little two swatches. So I'm going to show you guys how I did that on those two full coverage swatches, although on my own nail, I only did it on one finger. And the reason being is because the color I'm wearing, which is Twilight by Revel nail, is absolutely beautiful, has so much depth and dimension that I didn't want the painting to take two fingers on my nails. I wanted it to only take one. So I picked Twilight because I felt like it was the perfect background for the Starry Night painting, and that's actually what I used as the base color underneath these two swatches and my natural nail. Before we get started, I'm going to show you guys some of the supplies that you're going to need in order to do this painting. If you don't use dip powder, don't worry, you can totally do this process on gel, nail polish, your natural nail, whatever you want. I'm using acrylic paint for this, so don't feel like you are being limited to only dip powder. So you're going to need nail art brushes or some kind of paintbrush of some sort, and the ones that I used for this video are two brushes from Winstonia, and one is a fine line brush, and this one is a berry wine brush. That's the names of them. So I used this one to do a lot of like the dotting work, and this one to do the finer lines that I needed to get up and down. So the acrylic paint that I'm using, I got from probably AC Moore, but you can obviously get paint from Michael's too. And I only used 4 colors, so I try to keep it as simple as possible. I used black, the lighter blue, white, and yellow. So if you have those 4 colors, you'll be good to go. You'll also need some kind of palette to put the paint on and a little bowl of water to help thin out the paint. My color of choice is Twilight, a dip powder by Revel nail. I'm not going to bore you guys, but I dipped this color twice and then activated it before I continued with the paint. But I'm pretty sure you guys know how to dip. So here's what it looks like when it's completely done, activated, and dry, and we're about to get into the painting process. The first color that I'm going to work with is the black acrylic paint, and I'm going to squirt just a small amount onto my little palette here, and I'm going to start working with that. So I'm taking the thicker, denser brush, getting some paint, and I'm going to be drawing the base of the painting. So you see where the little village is and that gigantic tree that's in the middle on the left? That's what I'm going to be starting to paint right now, is the base. Since I'm doing it on 2 nails, I'm doing half of the painting on the left and half of the painting on the right nail. So on the right side, I'm just going to carry over the base to show the hills. So I know that the village looks blue, but I painted it black for a reason, and I'm going to show you guys later. So now that the base is painted, I'm going to start working with the yellow acrylic paint, and I'm going to start painting the dots everywhere. So I'm going to take that brush and I'm going to clean it and start grabbing some yellow paint and painting the dots strategically where they need to be placed. The reason I'm doing this is for a guide for later on when I do the swirls. I need the swirls to be in between all the dots. I hope it's okay with you guys, but I'm going to make sure I label each part right side or left side so you guys know exactly which nail swatch I'm working on at that current moment. Okay, so apparently I quickly changed my mind and I'm going in for the white because I'm ready to do some swirls, because that's going to take up a big bulk of the left-hand side swatch. So I took some water on the brush to thin out the paint a little bit, because it shouldn't be super stark white. Start your first squirrel. Start your first swirl to start in the upper left-hand side, not too far up, and then swirl it to match the way the painting is going. I put these two side by side right next to each other because I want to figure out exactly where I want the swirl on the right side to start. So I want it to be very symmetrical and exact. Once I have that, I was able to move them off of that and go back to normal. I am drawing the last swirl, which is below the bigger swirl, below that tiny moon. You see right there? It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't worry about trying to get it perfect. Just make it round. Now you're going to understand the reason why I painted the black at the bottom of the tips of the nails earlier. I wanted to use that as a guide so I can paint this swirl right on top of it. Now I'm going in for some touch-ups on the swirls. I want to make it a little more opaque, but also not a perfect round swirl. So I'm going to flare out the swirls. It's weird calling it swirls over and over and over again, but I need to make it look less opaque on the edges. Go back and forth into yellow and white interchangeably. That way the star that you're drawing right here is not bright yellow. So I'm drawing the stars that are on the left-hand side of the painting, but right here I need to make sure I leave enough room for the big tree on the left side. It's time to paint the tree, so I'm going to take this skinny liner brush and I'm going to dip in the black paint and start drawing the tree. So we have the base layers down, the swirls, the tree, the stars, the moon. Now we gotta go in and add some details. So I'm gonna add yellow paint dots all into the swirls, and later on I'm gonna go with blue dots into the swirls. This is like my favorite part because it stands out the most to me in the entire painting is the moon, the crescent moon. So I'm just trying to add a completely bright yellow crescent moon right here. Now it's for the details that is going to pull the entire painting together. This lighter blue helps add dimension to the background sky and also paint the little village. So I'm going to use the liner brush to create thin lines over the negative space, the dark space, around the entire painting. One last detail, I wanted the moon to pop more, so I added a little bit white paint here on the inside of the moon to make it pop. Remember how I painted the base of it black but not blue? The reason I did that is because I wanted to add the little villages, and adding black background and blue paint on top of it gave me the dimension that I wanted. So I'm going to take the light blue paint and just draw little houses. It doesn't have to be perfect, it can be little blobs. Now that is all laid down, you can take yellow paint and add small dots on top of some of the houses. Don't add it everywhere because you just want to make it look like some of the houses are lit up. Just doing an inspection, and I'm noticing that I need a lot of blue to be put in the swirls to make the whole thing come together. So I'm going to take the blue paint and just add lines, because this whole painting has nothing but lines and dots, into the swirls. It doesn't have to be perfect, remember that. So this is the final look and how it's gonna look, but I have to top coat it. So I'm gonna let it dry for a few minutes before I add in my gel top coat. However you choose to encapsulate it and secure this design is up to you. I personally use gel top coat. If you're a dip powder user, a lot of people use clear dip powder instead.